Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. Well, with that, let's bring in this week's E-Crew, Jeff and Anthony. A special guest joining us this week. Should I say a champion joining us this week? Let's welcome to the podcast for the second time. Now though, Beanpot champion Andy Moore. How's it going, Andy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you guys heard me say Beanpot champion. Northeastern won this past Monday night. Andy, a freshman at Northeastern, take us back to Monday night. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was a special night out. Honestly, didn't really know what to expect. Kind of going into it, blew all my expectations just completely out of the water. The place was it was so loud in there, and it's a really special night. It was a huge night for our team. Yeah, definitely a memory I'll never forget that one.
That has to be the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of, correct?
Yeah, by a lot. Not even close.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Going into it though, I mean, and Jeff is for those that don't know, Jeff does the PA for all Northeastern. Northeastern has dominated the Beanpot the last 5 years now, going back.
Dynasty.
Was there like this sense of pressure that the upperclassmen were talking about heading into it, or was that not a conversation?
No, I wouldn't say there's pressure at all. If anything, it kind of gives us some confidence. Like, those guys are always talking about how close those games are and how hard they are to win. But, a lot of them have been there before. So you kind of know that you're going to get your scoring chances. And there's definitely, we were a confident group. I think both games we were down with almost around 10 minutes left in the third period. So definitely no wavering in the locker room or anything. We were ready to go.
Good.
Yeah, and Andy, actually, since you guys have gotten healthy, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you guys through this year. And obviously, the beginning of the year was real tough for all of us, right? Myself included. Like, when you're working in that building and it just feels heavy. It doesn't feel as good as it has the last 8 or 9 games. How you guys have been red hot. But you've been playing with a lot of freshmen. I mean, during those injuries, it seems like you, Eli Sebastian, Billy Norcross. Talk to us a little bit about how it's been, playing with some other young freshmen like those guys on the fourth line for Coach Keefe, Coach Levine, and the rest of the bunch.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I'm really lucky to be able to be out there. Those guys the other freshmen are all great players, really good group of guys. So, we've been hurt a lot the start of the year, but it was tough. We have really high expectations. Obviously, we're a team that is looking to win every single night, but it was good for us, I think, to get, different guys playing for a while, learning how to win games in college hockey. And then now that we have everyone back, I feel like everything's kind of coming together. We still got a lot of work to do, but it's I think that it didn't set us back too far, really, as a team.
For sure. I'm going to take a selfish moment here for a second, Jeff, because I was there.
Yes.
I went to a Northeastern game this season. So maybe the answer is no, but was the turning point the tie against Quinnipiac? Because you guys played well that night.
I knew you were coming there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of turning like that right there. A lot of nights where we were so close to getting a win, but didn't actually get it. And you kind of learn. You learn, like, okay, this is how you lose, and felt like we were losing in 10 different ways. But yeah, that could have been one of the turning points for sure.
Yes, that was a fun night.
Neil, a proud graduate of Quinnipiac.
Yeah, that's why I had to bring it up, Jeff. That's why I had to bring it up. But we'll go back to the EHL now. For those that don't know, Andy and I are actually both from Maine too, so I take some pride in him coming through the league. But prior to
our second or third Maine guest, Andy's our.
I get to go back and count. We're at 200 and something episodes here, Jeff.
Oh no, actually, I just meant in our recent string.
Oh
of,
yeah,
reviews,
I think it's second. So, but Andy's first season of junior hockey came in the EHL.
Yep.
I'm sure looking back on it, you may have been able to go to the NA straight out of high school, but what was it about getting your first taste of junior hockey in the EHL that made it so special and the right move for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of factors went into that year. I was originally gonna play in the BCHL,
Mhm.
but couldn't get across the border, and I think it was almost 2 or 3 weeks into the season, and I didn't have a team to play on. Um, and I just got put in touch with Coach DiCaprio and went to try out. The time I really I just played 4 years of high school before, so I didn't really know much about junior hockey. To be honest, my parents didn't really want me playing junior hockey,
Wow.
Hmm.
so it was kind of
Interesting.
like just the place that I was, and it just ended up being the perfect spot for me for that year.
Yeah, how did you get in touch with Coach DiCaprio, Andy?
Um, Someone who I'm close with back home. He's a skills coach. His name's Adam Nicholas. He helped me get in touch with him. I think he helped get Brent Rickett there a couple of years before.
Oh yeah, yep. You
Another
know
solid
Rex.
player. So he yeah, I was lucky to be able to get that Coach DiCaprio's contact. That was awesome.
What was your initial thoughts of the EHL? Have you heard about the league before, before you started playing there? And did you have any expectations going into it?
Yeah, I didn't really have didn't know much. I was excited just to be on a team, honestly. And I definitely my goal was to try to dominate the league that year. Even as a younger player, that was definitely my mindset. And uh, we had a really good team that year, and it ended up just being a lot of fun, like really good growth for me as a person, as a player. So um, yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about the EHL and that season that I had.
When you talk about that team, that Rangers team, um, maybe I take some heat from this from some of our EHL coaches, but of all the champions, it's probably one of the best rosters to ever win a title. Do you keep in
Yeah.
touch with any of those guys still?
Yeah, I keep in touch with a lot of them. I saw a bunch of them this summer, and our group chat's still going all the time.
Love
We
it.
have we were really tight, and it's yeah, it's funny looking back on that year because those are definitely some of the best friends I made playing junior hockey, and those we had really good leadership that year too. Not only the players were good, but I feel like we couldn't have lost. We just had such a strong locker room, and Coach DiCaprio is definitely a big part of the culture there too.
For sure. Following his time in the EHL, Andy, you went to go play 2 years in the USHL. And I know, Jeff, I'm sure you've noticed this. What jumped out to me right away were the Pims. What
Yeah.
changed in Cedar Rapids?
It was definitely a jump for sure, and you kind of that was definitely the highest hockey I'd ever played,
Yep.
and just getting to kind of playing a different role on the team because obviously I'm not on the power play anymore, and it's like you have to you have to change a little bit as a player. Um, and so I think that it was a great year for me, and Cedar Rapids was whole another story, but definitely a life changing 2 years for me, and I I think that it was good for me to kind of change the way I play a little bit, a little more physical, a little really more focus on defense, and definitely a big reason why I'm probably at Northeastern too.
For sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, you're a guy that's always put up points, whether it's back at Greeley High, with the Rangers, with the Rough
Yeah,
Riders. So, what made you adapt to being kind of more of a heavy guy? Like Neil said, 107 PIMs in 21, 90 in 22, 23. Only 10
yeah,
with Northeastern. I haven't had many visits with you in the box over at Matthews, but I have told them that, and I've been talking to Coach DiCaprio all year about you and about how you have played. Really, you seem bigger too. Obviously, I mean, you're a little older
yeah,
now too, and you've gotten stronger. But yeah,
yeah.
you seem bigger, stronger. How's it been kind of developing into playing like a third, fourth line, kind of more of a grinding role
Yeah.
instead of a specialty role?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy. I'm definitely happy to be here, and it's also it's good because you like I think I definitely have that other part of my game still, but
Right. I see it.
you gotta be able to adapt. And
Yep.
there's also very few players in the NHL who I think can really put up a lot of points and be on the power play. Like there's a lot of room for other guys um, to play a 200-foot game, and there's a lot of guys I look up to now on our team at Northeastern who maybe aren't the flashiest players, but they have that defensive, that physical side of their game down. And that's something that I'm really trying to work on right now.
Yeah, I'm sure guys like Matt DeMellis, Liam Walsh, got older
Oh
vets
yeah,
like that kind of
yeah,
first
for
come to my
sure.
mind.
Yeah, yeah,
And then actually you have a couple other brothers too. So Ryan Moore, and
yeah,
Charlie, Charlie Moore. All the jokes aside, everyone's gonna be like, "Wait,
yeah,
Charlie Moore? No, not the fisherman. It's the younger brother." But
yeah,
Ryan went and played for the Rangers too. So obviously, yeah, like you had said, you had a great experience with the Rangers. And have you? And then I think Ryan was he practicing with you last year? I believe out in Cedar Rapids, right, with the
yeah,
Roughriders.
yeah. He tried out in Cedar Rapids last year. Didn't make the team, but ended up just bouncing around like four different junior leagues, and was like, I'm just gonna go play for coach decap. Went down there and ended up he had the same experience as me. Absolutely loved it. Won the championship, and now he's at Colby. So and yeah, my other brother Charlie, like you mentioned, he could be there next year. We'll have to see. So
He's in
pretty
06.
fun.
Coach was already talking to me the other day,
Yeah.
texting me saying, "Hey Jeff, I got another more in the
Yeah.
pipeline." I was like, love
My
it,
God.
love it.
Well,
There isn't a fourth more, correct? There's just three.
No, there's just three.
Okay,
It ends with Charlie.
so Andy, you started in the EHL as what was a 17-year-old?
Yeah, I think 17 or
Yeah.
18. Yeah.
So I mean that's still relatively young because you're
Mhm.
going up against a lot of 19 and 20-year-olds. Would you say that it was a valuable experience going up against guys who were 2, 3 years older than you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because it's a different game. Like the EHL is might not be as skilled as the higher junior leagues, but everyone's still fast, everyone's still strong. So you have to really be able to adapt. Like that was a big thing for me. I think it took me 7 or 8 games to score a goal. So it was a big jump, and even in practice too, being able to play against those guys every day made me a lot better at the start of the year for sure.
Yeah. That was the Philly finals year. It's just so hard to think about that still, is that we had to go to
Oh my God.
Philly for the finals that year.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you already know this, but you're not the first EHL Rookie of the Year to advance on to Northeastern, to then win a Beanpot. We also had
Yeah.
Caden Primo, but he only won one. So,
Yeah.
so if you win one more, just so you know, you already surpassed him, right?
Yeah.
But in talking with your teammates at Northeastern, obviously you're the only EHL guy there. Do any of them ever ask, like, what's the EHL? Because a lot of those guys obviously were
Yeah.
just straight USHL guys, and then on the Northeastern.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of guys know we actually have a lot of mass guys. So,
Okay,
they ask me about it and stuff. I mean, they don't have anything bad to say or anything, but it's kind of fun just to talk about it, talk about that season, because I think they're a little surprised that probably I played in the EHL, but I always tell them that, it was such a good league that year, and it was awesome.
for sure.
Fun story actually, because I know Michael Outzen is on
Yeah.
Northeastern. The 87 still played in Middletown when he played for the Titans, so I think there are some games where maybe he helped out in the scorer's box. So I think he got a good front row
Oh
seat of
yeah.
what the EHL is about.
Yeah,
For
I'll
sure.
have to talk to him about that today.
Yep. So now looking ahead to the rest of the season, obviously you're in conference the rest of the way as you try and improve on your playoff positioning heading towards the Hockey East playoffs. But once you get there, you know that odds are you're going to face probably a ranked team, because it feels like this is as loaded of a year as the Hockey East has been in a while, right?
Yeah.
So when you play for Coach Keith, what does he say about how every night you guys have to get up like it's the Beanpot?
Yeah. No, it's definitely a big deal, but I think that we we might not be ranked as high as those other teams, but we have all the confidence in the world that we're right there with them. I mean, we beat 3 ranked teams in our last 6 games, so we honestly don't really think about that at all. Like, I think our captain said the other day that like we're Northeastern, like we're not underdogs. So that's kind of the mindset that we have right now, and like focusing on us, what we have to do to win. And I'm really excited. We got a special group, I think, in our locker room, very resilient, mentally tough. So I'm excited to see these next 7 games bring, and then playoffs for sure.
For sure. Now I'm going to keep my flag in the ground and say that it all turned around at that Quinnipiac game that I was at. So
yeah, oh yeah.
So we'll be watching down the stretch, though. Congrats again on winning the Beanpot. Another, as I said, EHL Rookie of the Year, winning the Beanpot. That's just cool for us. So congrats on that, and good luck down the stretch.
Thank you guys very much. Good luck with everything this year as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. See you this weekend, Andy.
See you guys.
Thanks again to Andy Moore for joining the podcast for the second time. You knew I was going to go there eventually with that Quinnipiac game. Well, because, Jeff, I say it because they were in 11th place in Hockey East going into that game, Northeastern.
Yeah.
And they're up to 8th now, which part of that's because, I mean, just in the top 10, BU, BC, Maine, Providence. I mean, Hockey East is ridiculous this year.
Yeah, it is. It's like a playoff, like you just said. It's like a playoff game every single night in Hockey East.
Yeah,
with how many teams are ranked and just how top to bottom teams are just so deep.
For sure. I mean, we could have also got into like it was an awesome Beanpot final. I mean, I wonder what it was like for him going up against like the guy who is going to be the number 1 draft pick in the NHL draft. Like that does have like an aura to it. You know what I mean?
Macklin Celebrini, that kid's pretty good.
Yeah. No, and there's a name, the captain of Northeastern, Jeff.
Oh, Justin Ritzkovian.
Yeah. I listen, you're the PA announcer, not me. I don't see how that formation of letters is pronounced like
HRYCKOWIAN.
Yeah. Great.
PH immediately you're like
that's why there's guides on these line charts.
Yes, pronunciation guides. And now we have 2. You got Big Ritz and Little Ritz. You got Dylan Ritzkovian, who played in Cedar Rapids where Andy did in the USHL.
It's funny how like everything ties together like that. I know. Right? So
the hockey world so small.
And small also is the number of games we have left remaining, right? Mm-hmm. We're recording this podcast, dropping it on Thursday, February 15th, which is today is trade deadline, free agent addition deadline. So today is a big day. So let's
TSN Sounder, get it, rip the horn.
But just another reminder: if you have 2 teams, EHLP and EHL, guys can still move back and forth.
100%.
It's just for people outside of the league.
Yes, no new players after today. So we'll start talking about it in Around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
Around the E Show is presented by BioSteel, the sports drink of the EHL. Use the promo code EHLB1. That's EHLB1 for 25% off when you check out at biosteel.com.
I think it's pretty safe to say where I want to start with Around the E Show, guys. They've now won 19. They've now won 19 straight games. So, Anthony, I sometimes Adam is in a decent mood after a loss where I could kind of throw a joke at him, and I haven't spoken to him since the 87's loss to the Apple Corps yesterday. But this happened to the Red Sox, so I can say this. A few years ago, Pedro Martinez was pitching at Yankee Stadium, and a "Who's Your Daddy" chant started. And I'm just saying this because the Apple Corps have won 3-0, 5-0, and 5-1 against the 87s this year. Like,
so who is their daddy? Lenny Caglione?
Well, but what Hooley would say back to me was that like the Bankovich brothers, like he traded them there. So it's almost like the 87s are beating the 87s.
Not just the Bankovich brothers. I mean, Jonathan Waselko, Ethan Poligo, Riley Shepard even had a cup of coffee with the 87s.
There's like five guys there.
I think it was hands down one of the most, from the point of the 87s, probably one of the more frustrating losses this season because they played really well in that first period, and one of our kids from the 18U program, Alex Haar, he scored the goal, and it seemed like maybe the 87s are going to reverse their fortunes, but then Applecore just responded. They scored two shorthanded goals that game, and they scored four unanswered in the first period. You just have to tip your cap to Applecore. They're just, an outstanding team. Lenny Caglione even told me after the game he thought that his team did not play very well afterwards. And I said, the fact that you could play a bad game by your standards and still win 5-1 just really shows how well things are going for your team.
Yep. I mean, look at all the different guys that they have that can score, right? They're just as talented on the blue line, led by Davis Kinney, who's running away with this month's Defenseman of the Month award right now. We'll get to his stats probably in fantasy because somebody has him picked, right? And then
Ryan, sure it's the guy that's in first, and I had Kinney like 2 months early, early. Same with Unger.
Ryan Kraushaw has won his 14 starts.
Oh my God.
Like,
unbelievable.
This is an insane run, guys.
Yeah. Yep. Historical. And again, probably, does the Ryan Kraushaw for Anthony Vernula trade go down as top 5 trade of all time in the EHL? I guess it depends on, I can hear Lenny and Nick saying now, depends on where we go. Because if we get knocked out in the first round, it's no good. They want to get to the Frozen Finals, right? That's the first goal, and then they want to win the whole damn thing. So I would say, if they do end up getting that deep, then it would be the most successful trade maybe of all time in our league.
For sure. And if there's any question about, the strength of what they've done, right? They play the Wizards next week. They play the Rangers in 2 weeks. Yeah. If this 19-game streak stretches to 25 with 6 regular season games left, to me, they've answered all questions, right? Now, I guess the question, though, for us is, do they want it to be 20? Like, at some, you've made history, right? Like, at some point, is taking a setback a helpful endeavor for them to work through?
Right. That's something we've talked about a lot here on the E Show in the last 200-something episodes, because we've run into other teams. We've run into Anthony's Jersey 87s multiple times with long streaks like this. And that is always the question, right? Is when is it time to just say, you know what? Let's just drop a game. Let's just feel what it feels like to lose, because then we go in the playoffs. You don't want to drop anything. But all jokes aside of it, that really is the question, right? Is when is the right time to drop a game? Because if you go into the playoffs as winners of 28 in a row, there's a massive target on your back.
Yeah,
I have a pretty wild comparison whenever we talk about this.
Okay.
I feel like whenever we talk about, is it good to lose? It's like some of those like wildly out of touch articles you see from outlets like Business Insider or The Economist, where it's like, here's why eating maggots is good, actually. And I think for Applecore, they're just like, good to lose. They're still neck and neck. Yeah, they're still neck and neck with the Railers. So I get what you guys are saying, and I do think there's some merit to having a setback and bouncing back from adversity. But I think for Applecore, they just want to keep winning games when they can, try to secure that number 1 seed, because I think it can make a bit of a difference.
For sure.
Especially if, because nothing's guaranteed, if they do face the Railers, I'm sure that they would want home ice advantage for games 1 and 3, still have the last line change where they can get their favorable matchup. So I think if they can take it to 25, by all means, then they should.
And what
they literally haven't lost since last year. You ready for the dad joke? They haven't lost since last year.
Yeah.
The Patriots were still in the playoff race last time they lost, October 25th. How's that?
Do you remember the last time Applecore lost a game? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
3-1 Railers over Applecore, October 25th.
Oh, that's crazy. It's crazy. Applecore have played 40 games. They have 63 points. And the Railers have played 39 games for 62. So they really are neck and neck. Railers hold the tiebreaker if the two teams finish the season with the same number of points.
4-game sweep. Just imagine if that was a split of the difference right there in points.
Yeah.
Really wish we could go back and could we at least have 2 of those this late season? You had to just rush to get all 4 done early.
So funny, so funny.
Ugh.
I just added a little X, guys, next to Providence's name. Well, I have to refresh it here. Providence has officially clinched their spot in the postseason. Seed still to be determined. They obviously have a little cushion now for that 3 seed, 4-5 battle between Rhode Island and the Chiefs. They're comfortable but not locked in. Rough Riders trail the Chiefs for that last spot by 10 points with only 7 games remaining. So yes, they hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, but they'd have to realistically go 5-2 or 6-1 down the stretch and have the reverse from the Chiefs and or Rhode Island. So it's looking like we have our 5 playoff teams in that division.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. And congratulations to Jeff Perot and Providence. That's a great honor, like we said, with the Apple Corps, maybe the first of many goals that they'd like to check off their list. But for a team that's kind of been up, down, over, and around, right? We've been talking about Providence with streaking in all different directions, good, bad, not so great, but hey,
for sure.
Like we said with Andy, once you get into the playoffs, erase the regular season record stats. You just got to get in and then just win, baby.
Exactly.
I mentioned on the broadcast yesterday that this is the first 30-win season for Apple Corps since 2002. So well before
the EHL.
Well before the modern iteration of when it was the EJ.
Wow.
So I mean, just again, truly a historic season that they've had, and their winning streak alone has outmatched their win totals from each of the last 6 seasons.
It's insane. It's insane. To the north we go. The Avalanche have clinched their spot and their number 1 seed. After that, it gets...
And they have a 14-game point streak. Don't forget, I can hear Chris Sorelli texting me right now. Nope, There we go.
Yep. After that, it's kind of interesting. Seacoast probably feels the most comfortable where they're at, with a 6-point gap in second place. I'll tell you what, guys, if the Wolves didn't win this past Sunday and Vermont had swept that 2-game series up in Vermont, that could have got really interesting with kind of a 3-team bunch as opposed to just the 2 right now, right? Because with that win,
Lumberjacks Warriors the whole
100%. And so think of it like this, Jeff. Like if the Wolves were at 37 and the Lumberjacks were at 35, and yes, Valley's at 32, but still with 37 games played, once that game count would catch up, we'd have a 3-team kind of race there. But the Wolves did salvage the split, so they still have a 6-point lead over Vermont, who has played 1 more game than them. So they have some cushion, just like Seacoast does, which means it may come down, as we've thought, between Vermont and Valley for that last spot. One thing to note, though, for Valley, they play Seacoast 3 more times starting today. Those are 3 big matchups. So,
hey, good for them too. They moved Josh Bells on to the NA. I saw recently they've been posting some cool things there recently with Ryan McGrath and Mike Clardy. So good job.
For sure.
In.
For those that are wondering why I haven't put an X next to the East Division Boston Junior Terriers yet, that's because I wait until the play-in round is over and I put an X next to whoever won the play-in round.
Got that, coaches.
Okay. But the Terriers are in, quote unquote, the playoffs, but they're most likely going to be in that play-in game. And then once, if they do win that play-in game, then I'll put the X there. They could still theoretically catch the Rangers, but it's that 2 games in hand the Rangers have over them that kind of hurts. Rangers Wizards though play today, right as we got off this podcast. They play at 10:30 this morning, guys.
Notice that. Nice little early. Is that at the Bic?
Up and Adam.
Yeah.
Who's on the call for that? You got a little Sam Feely, Jim McCabe. Who's doing that?
Not sure. Yeah, sure. I'm separate.
I'll go listen to it. It'll be on Flow Hockey. Go listen.
So but speaking of swings, this past Friday, the Wizards dropped a game to the Bandits 4-2. Right? The same can be said about that Wolves, if they had lost. On that Friday, the Seahawks came back in overtime to beat Providence 4-3. If they had dropped that game, take away those 2 points, they're at 24, Bandits at 21. gets interesting. And Anthony, you mentioned this in last week's short shifts. The Bandits are playing better. Like, without a doubt.
they have.
So there is still a 5-point gap there. Bandits have a game in hand, so they're not out of this yet by any means. And Jeff, you just said it. All you gotta do is just fight to get in, right? And then who knows what can happen.
Yeah, and Coach Trevich has done it. I mean, he's another guy that's been around for a long time, right? As far as we've been talking about Coach DiCaprio in our interview with Andy, as far as like veteran coaches, and Coach Trevich is another one. He's been through it. He's had good teams. He's had not so great teams, and credit to him for keeping the guys, all locked in. And because we've seen, I mean, in this league too, right? We've seen some teams with really not so great records. Don't want to talk about, North Carolina Golden Bears, Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Just digging out some of those teams that ended it with like very low win counts. Bandits are almost at double digits, so credit to them. I mean, I'm being serious. That is a hard thing to do in the game of hockey, especially junior hockey, when you get guys that are 17 to 20, 21 years old, and to keep them locked in and just battling all year. Good job by them.
For sure. End it in the South. Has order been restored for the Bears, Anthony? They're playing well again.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're 4-0-1-1 in their, or 4-0-2, I should say, in their last 6 games. And they had a pretty convincing win recently over the Pennsylvania Huntsmen. 5-0 victory yesterday. So, yeah, I think that they've stabilized. Some of their offense has come back, where they've been scoring. Carson Fry's just been spectacular in net for most of the season. I know he was really the hot goaltender that we were all talking about at the start of the season. I think he's consistently put up good numbers for them. But yeah, I mean, for the Bears, it's their division to lose at this point.
For sure.
Still got a big series against your 87s, though? Or actually, it looks like 2 different. Game on Friday and then a game Wednesday.
Yeah. If the 87s were to win both those games, it would make things a little tighter, that's for sure. Right. 87s have a game in hand, too. Probably the biggest game, though, coming up in this division, and we'll get to what to watch for. But tomorrow night, Huntsman at Philly Hockey Club. If PHC wins that game, it starts to close the door a little tighter on the Huntsman, who, by streaks perspective, they've lost 4 straight games. And
oh, Zacho.
not the
we'll
best
get some
time
here, but
not the best time for that.
My weekly check on Zach Overholtzer.
Yes.
We'll get a text later. But
it's funny though, like the 2, 3, 4 battle between the 87th Little Flyers, Maryland. It's like this week, this team is the hottest team. This week, this team is the hottest team. This week, this team is. This rotates. It's like they pass the torch from one to the other. It's really funny to watch.
Philadelphia, or the Little Flyers in particular, they've been playing well. They won their last 2 games. They had a big 5-1 win over the 87s a few days ago, so that really helped kind of close the gap. From 3rd place to 2nd place. 87s are still ahead by 1 point. They have 2 games in hand, but we were talking about their loss against Apple Core. They've hit a bit of a rough patch.
For sure.
So right now, it gives an opportunity for Philadelphia and Team Maryland to maybe try to leapfrog the 87s, try to catch them.
Yeah, this is the Little Flyers' time. They always do this every year. They
always seem to pick it up down the stretch.
Right?
For sure. To the EHLP we go. And as we speak here, I'm adding a little X and Y symbol next to Adirondack, who's won the regular season title for the New England division for the 2nd straight year, guys. So they've locked in the number 1 seed. What I do think is interesting, though, is they it looks like they'll face Vermont, as we've touched on this podcast. Vermont beat them last night, right? So when those 2 teams get together, it doesn't feel always like 1-4. It's always pretty close. The same thing with the 2-3, Avs Wolves. So as we know, I'm sure Adirondack would love to get some revenge this year, and get to the Frozen Finals after what took place last year. But it's shaping up to be a pretty solid New England division playoffs. So
100%.
To the Mid-Atlantic, just going the way that we're set up on the website, The Huntsman streak has ended, though, Jeff. They split this past weekend against Union. Therefore, it's getting tight with the 87s. Anthony, just like
3
Apple
points.
Core Railers in the EHL, is being the number 1 seed between these two teams a big deal?
I'd say so. I'd say, for any division, it's a big deal. You just want to get home ice, right? That's the key thing there. But how about the Union Junior Thunder? Their biggest win of the season, being able to end the streak for the Huntsmen.
Yeah.
I think the other big thing too, again, bit homerism in me. The 87s getting 2 big wins over the Adirondack Junior Thunder.
Yes.
Because we talk about how Adirondack has been so good, these 2 seasons. And the other thing too, the 87s went 0-1-3 against Adirondack last year, so they couldn't beat them, but a lot of those games went into overtime. New Jersey took 1 game out of 3 to start the season in Adirondack. And then you have 2 more games in Jersey that go to overtime. They won both of them. First one in overtime, second one in a shootout.
Yeah. So what you're saying is if Adirondack and the 87s go to the finals, we should just skip the 60 minutes regulation, go straight to overtime.
I would say you should have the EHL game first, because the P game is going to go to 5 overtimes, and we're not going to end the day until 11 o'clock at night.
There are enough Hall's cough shops in Schneider Arena for Anthony when that happens.
If it goes an hour later into midnight, then they might actually have to close the arena down because of Easter Sunday.
My God. To the Boston
resume the
division.
game on Monday.
Yes, to the Boston division we go. Ho hum. Railers just keep chugging along. 9 straight wins. And Anthony, you mentioned this in the short shifts. If similar to the Apple Core in the EHL, if they keep the gas pedal down, they can set the win record down the stretch here. But they don't what's funny is what's it like coaching a team? Question for John Feinlease. Coaching a team where you only have 3 examples of we didn't execute that day. 3 out of 36.
Right.
Damn.
That's
dude.
tough. We're talking about the Apple Core and the EHL, right? I mean, that's kind of the same thing when you haven't played a lot of I don't want to say meaningful, but to a point, right? Because you haven't really been pushed or tested. You're just that damn good. You just kind of blow teams out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the case come playoff time. But knowing John Feinlease like we do in the rest of the Railers, they're another team that keeps guys with their eyes on the prize. They keep them locked in at all times. So I wouldn't worry too much about them come playoff time. I think they'll be able to kind of just do the old playoff flip the switch and here we go.
Yeah, but if it stays chalk the way that the seeds are right now, they're 1-4 matchup against the Express and leading scorer in the league, Charlie DiMartino and Peyton Myers and Aiden Dunn, who just had 4 goals. That's
right.
that's not an easy matchup, right?
You saw the Express, the much smaller, the little David versus Goliath Express last year, almost toppled the Rangers. So yeah, I'd say this Express team a lot more talented than last year's, and last year's even gave a very good team a run for their money. So yeah, we will see. That's why we play the games.
Exactly. That's why we play the games, Jeff, and we count the points.
This episode's about punchlines. Just win, baby. Just play the games, baby.
And
there you go, Justin. Punchlines.
And speaking of the points, though, let's jump now to the E-Show Fantasy Challenge.
Now it's time for the E-Show Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app. Available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
So, Jeff, we can start with a little Yahoo this week because I'm playing you.
Dun, dun, dun.
I had a good night, though, last night. We were tied. We were virtually tied going into last night.
I didn't even look this morning. Thanks for ruining my freaking day, kid.
Yeah.
There we go. 87-66. All right, time to throw the phone in the toilet.
Yeah, I had 3 guys play last night, and they got me 20 points. So...
Ooh.
Little 17 save shutout for Connor Hellebuck. That proved to be the difference for me last night.
You know what I had, Neil? I had Marcus Pedersen get me a nice negative 1.10, and that's all I had last night. So there you go. That's how this matchup is Cooked, done. My team's like,
Marcus
done forever.
Pedersen, Jeff. I think you need to brush up with your scouting department. I think you just need to clean house with your hockey ops.
Yeah, you know what? My D looks like we'll keep it as a family show, but also have Morgan Riley serving that wonderful 5-game suspension this week on my D. It's rough for the 3 and 14 Meek Millses of the world. Yeah, we're not doing so good. We're done.
It's too funny. But
hang it up. It's not a dynasty league, so we can just rinse, wash, do not repeat, and redraft next year. So,
exactly. So listen, I think I have the most points in the league this week, so it just makes it so frustrating that my 8 and 9 ninth place team just is so.
Yeah, you need a win, dude. So
it's so Jekyll and Hyde.
Here you go. Perfect time to play me. Then you need a win this week. Perfect time to come into Meek Mills's barn and just step on me.
Yeah. Well, I've said. Well, I've said this every week, Jeff. If it doesn't work out for you on Yahoo, you can just head over to DraftKings. I mean, for me, sorry, Andy, in the DraftKings sportsbook on Monday.
Oh, I did not bring that up. I was going to try to hose you, but
yeah, listen, you can't say I was wrong in picking BU because BU is probably the better team on paper.
No, it's called #SucksToBeYou, deal. Come on, get with the program.
Well, I had a little parlay going on Monday night. I had BC to win the third place game against Harvard, and then BU
5-0. They did that.
Yeah, that one was easy. And then BU to beat Northeastern in the championship game.
You and Karen Mooney. That's it.
All I'll say, Jeff, is there was a point in that third period where they were playing 5-on-5, and it looked like BU was on a power play. So,
oh yeah. Hey, scoreboard. What's that scoreboard say at the end? That's
I mean, listen, the goaltender for Northeastern played fantastic. So
Cameron Whitehead.
Yeah.
Whitey's good. He's damn good. And yeah, let's get to DraftKings. Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets do expire 168 hours after issuance. And do you have a gambling problem? If so, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. You can visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, you can call 877-8-HOPENY. You can text HOPENY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is also available for problem gambling. You can call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. You can void that if you're in Ontario. Bonus bets do expire 168 hours after issuance, so see dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved.
We mentioned this a little earlier. Yes, someone does have Davis Kinney picked, and Ryan Kraushaw, and Peter Unger. Kevin Unger, I'm assuming that's Peter's father. 95.8 points, guys. We're 14 days into the month, and he's got 95 points.
It's so funny because I think me and Justin were we picked Peter Unger as an underrated forward before he got red hot. And I wish I just repeated and just went with Ungs again this month because I, really need to get into this tournament of champions. I did go with Croshaw again, but Aiden O'Connell's been a little sleepy this month. Of course, Jack Costable's I've already produced so much this year.
I've already won Defenseman of the Month a few times.
I'm probably going to win Defenseman of the Year. I don't know what I got for you, Jeff. Sorry, too little, too late, buddy.
He tries against the 87s, that's for sure.
Well, as we mentioned, Kevin Unger in first place at 95.8 points. The next closest, Dan Mealy, has 71.8, right? Ryan Miniker, 66.8. I mean, Mackenzie Mealy, 64. Those numbers probably are winning previous months if Kevin Unger is not where he's at, right? So,
core go. Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just Peter Unger who's putting up points. Luca Lozano's got 23 also for the Apple Core. We mentioned Kinney, you mentioned Crowshaw. Adam Casper.
Good. Justin Horatio picked Basin Constable Crowshaw, Mr. Social Media of the Apple Core.
Trying to get shocked there. That's all I have to say.
Should have smart with this core.
Yeah. Adam Casper got 3 shutouts so far this month, so he's got 32.8 points also. Peyton Myers having a great month for the Express EHLP team. He's got 32 points. Yeah, it's hard to believe we're only 14 days in also, right?
Also a short month too, so.
I should also call myself here because I'm the only person that picked this goalie, but I have Ronnie Petrucci, who's got 30 points. 30 points. Listen, should be 32. He had an assist yesterday, but I can't change the rules on the fly. So, I mean, who cheats like that, right? Not me. So
is that Justin Squitieri calling you right now? I think it is.
But remember, we don't just go for 15 more days through February 29th. This goes through the showcase.
Oh, that's right.
Through March 4th. So no doubt Peter Unger, or Kevin Unger, I should say, the father, will set a new record for points this month, right?
Look at that. We turned the short month into a long month, baby. That's
I just wonder, with 6 games left and those 3 Apple Core guys, 95 points could become 130,
180,
140.
Maybe just doubles 180.
So it would be kind of funny if he hangs on, right? Our 5 champions after myself would be an Apple Core alum, an Apple Core dad, a friend of the Apple Core broadcaster, and a Chiefs dad. So this is a very central dominated podcast. And I've been told I've been told my favorite team is the Railers. But with that, we will get to what to watch for.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
What to watch for is presented by Flow Hockey, the official streaming platform for your EHL and EHLP action throughout the 2023-2024 season.
As we mentioned earlier, too, we're on this special day today where you cannot bring in a new player after midnight tonight. So I'll try and keep you guys updated if I see a big name pop up today. We have had a few trades. The Railers traded for Frederick Vatera, the goalie from the Seahawks. Something to keep an eye on there.
You say the Railers traded for him?
Traded for him, yep. Seahawks traded him there. So that's just so far. I wish we had like some more action while we're on the podcast. Play like a breaking news sounder. But just to go over the schedule like we have in the past, starting today, we mentioned that Wizards-Rangers game at 10:30. The first of 3 games remaining for the Warriors and Spartans is today in the EHL. Tomorrow, Wizards Express. So that's a back-to-back. Huge 2 games for the Wizards. Yeah. Little Flyers Maryland tomorrow. And Bears 87s and Huntsman Philly Hockey Club. That's a big South day tomorrow.
Ooh, doggy.
7 games. Oh, that's a lot.
Sorry. You're not calling all 7.
No. Saturday night, guys, I get to try and defend my title. JBT shootout.
That's right.
Wolves versus Avalanche, 6:15. I played pickup last night to try and get the rust off a little bit. Yeah, not gonna lie, scored 2 goals, so it felt. I feel good. I feel good.
What are you thinking for moves this year, Commish? You gonna go new school, old school?
I just don't. It probably won't hit me until I'm skating in to the zone. So,
do you usually think it up, or do you usually just kind of go with what you?
I've always been a quick to one side, go back to the forehand shoot. That's like the kind of
goalies.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't know if the Wolves shootout goalies are listening to this. If they are, like, okay, protect that side. And force me to go to my backhand and see what I do with that one, right? Ooh. So Apple Core going to try and stretch their winning streak to 20 games on Saturday night when they host the Rough Riders. Let's see, what else do we have here? Avalanche Lumberjacks on Sunday. So
at Letty.
Little day trip for them.
Cold day trip.
Railers. Sorry, I should say this, guys, too. pause.
Those Rangers.
We have a regional showcase next week.
Yes, we do.
That's
you see a lot of rinks and Exeter on that schedule?
That snuck up on us a little bit there, Jeff.
I've seen a bunch of games. I already have some prep done. Oh,
yeah, so Rangers Railers is part of that next week. Express Chiefs, Avalanche, Providence. That's Tuesday. There's 6 games Tuesday, 6 games Wednesday, 4 games Thursday. Terriers Spartans. We mentioned Wizards Apple Core. That's on Wednesday. There are some South games going on at the same time too. Team Maryland Huntsman. And then last day, Apple Core Warriors, Railers, Terriers. So with that regional showcase ending on Thursday, 1 week from the day of the 22nd, our podcast next week will be next Friday, the 23rd. We always kind of shift by a day. And then the following week, we'll do it the 29th. With the showcase starting on the 1st. Wow, like these 2 showcases came up really fast, guys. We have a showcase next week and then these showcase the following week. So that's the
places,
EHL
people, places.
Yes, that's the EHL action coming up. EHLP. Let's just start today with Rangers Railers, guys. But this is a hell of a way to start the week in both divisions. Adirondack and Vermont wrapping up a 2-game series tonight. Looking ahead then to this weekend, I know the Chiefs play 4 times this weekend as they fight for playoff positioning. So those are some key games. It's a holiday Monday, Jeff. Forgot about that. President's Day.
That's right. Yay, President's Day
is on Monday. So I got
to Renegades for a couple of Chiefs are
for sure. Railers Warriors next Tuesday. Rangers Wolves a couple times. So plenty of big games, guys. And as I mentioned, just a reminder again. The podcast will not come out 1 week from today. It'll come out 1 week from tomorrow. Probably one more alumni guest, and then we'll go like full playoffs all the way.
Yeah.
Because that 29th episode, we probably should talk about the 63 games that we have starting the next day in Philly. 63 games in 4 days. 63 games in 4 days.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot. I'm going to be in the back room, Anthony, with like a whiteboard trying to figure out the fantasy points as we go, and it's just going to like my head spin. Oh, it's too good, though. But hey, thanks again to Andy Moore for coming on the podcast for the second time. He had been on once before, back when he was with Cedar Rapids. So, yeah, Jeff, I was kind of texting with you earlier that I didn't have someone for a while this week, but
yeah.
Andy wins the Beanpot. Andy, get on the podcast. Let's go.
Perfect. Love it. As a fellow Husky, love it. Good for the brand.
Should have asked him actually again about the cereal. Those guys always eat cereal the next morning out of the Beanpot.
Oh yeah, I saw Gunner at the cereal the cereal fountain there that they have. Looks like they're eating like Cocoa Pebbles or something out of it yesterday.
What would be your go-to if you won the Beanpot? What's your favorite cereal?
I'm not a cereal guy. It used to be a big Cheerios guy.
Nice. We have apple cinnamon Cheerios in the closet right now. Those are tremendous.
Boom. I used to
Honey Nut Cheerios.
regular Cheerios. So
yeah.
My favorite though, and I'm not sure if they make this anymore. French Toast Crunch.
Whoa. I don't know if they make that anymore. That's a good
French Toast Crunch. CTC. That's a delicious.
They made it. They made it like a second time. It came back. But I haven't seen it in a while now.
We'll have to do some research on that, Anthony. But anyways, thanks to Andy for coming on. And congrats again on winning the Beanpot. Big day today. Big day every day, the rest of the way, I should say. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Jeff, see you in Exeter. Anthony, good luck in the South.
Can't wait. See you in New Hampshire, bud.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.